we say about social entrepreneurship is that it is not just ameliorating or improving the current situation, i.e. making something better, but rather transforming it. Taking a miserable equilibrium, something that makes life miserable for some marginalized part of society, and helps transform that into something that's distinctly better. Now, social entrepreneurship is by no means the only force that does that. There is lots of social transformation that comes by way of government. Right? When government enacts legislation to take care of some kind of unfortunate situation, whether it's ending apartheid in South Africa, or whether it's the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in America, or whether it's the Magna Carta. It transforms a situation from one that is miserable, unacceptable, kind of bad, to something that's dramatically better. And the way that happens, when government does it, is along these four dimensions. The beneficiary of this is all citizens. The scope of it is ubiquitous. You don't make the laws. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 did not apply to some parts of America, some people in America versus others. It applied to everyone. It's ubiquitous. The structure is that it's mandatory. That's the way government takes action, is to say this is now the new law of the land. And finally, its purpose is social benefit. That's what government's there to do. And so there are a myriad. We would never want to say social entrepreneurship is the only thing that creates transformation. No. Great government action down through the course of history and will continue through history will transform inferior, suboptimal, downright lousy equilibria into something better. There's been another force for at least the last 500 years or so that has also created social transformation, and that's business. Classic, pure business. When business tackles an unfortunate equilibrium, when Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak say, why do you have to be tied to a mainframe computer that the IT department is controlling? Couldn't you have one on your desk? Wouldn't that make your life better? Here, though, rather than the beneficiary being all citizens, right, it's customers. Right? It's the customers who say that matters enough to me to pay for what it costs. Right? It is not ubiquitous. The scope is not ubiquitous. It's limited to the customer base that's interested in that transformation. The structure is exactly the opposite. It is voluntary rather than mandatory. And finally, the purpose is at least in part profit. That's what business is in part for, is to make a profit. Now, I would argue that Steve Jobs actually created a social benefit too, and many of the great entrepreneurs of the world create a benefit as well. But profit is a piece of the puzzle. So where we see social entrepreneurship as being unique is not in creating transformation, but rather in creating transformation that lies between these two poles. If we say these are the two poles, by beneficiary, scope, structure, and purpose, wide apart, social entrepreneurship tends to borrow from these two poles to create the transformation.